In this video, I'm going to show you how to mix a variety of neutral colors and a couple of grays. I have the primary colors, white and black, and I'm going to start with this lighter shade, this kind of neutral beige, and it's a light color. So because it's so light, I'm going to start with white. If I know that it's going to be very light, I want to start with white because that's the thing that I'm going to need the most of. So I'm also looking at, I think it probably has a little bit of yellow and red in it. I'm not totally sure, but once I mix the color and compare it, then I can kind of feel, does it need to be cooler? Does it need to be warmer? And I can adjust after I've mixed it. So I mixed it too dark at first, so now I'm adding a little bit of white back into it. And I'm going to mix all of that up right here. And I can't tell if this is the right color or not. So the best way to test it is to grab a scrap piece of paper and paint a little swatch on the side of it. And then I can compare it right next to that. And it looks different on paper. I didn't think it was going to be this close. Actually, that's really close. So in a painting, that's close enough that I would go with it. Also, remember, paint's going to dry a little bit darker. So let's mix this darker one. This is a little closer to brown. And when you're mixing brown, you're going to mix all three primary colors. Basically, complementary colors make brown. So if I was trying to mix red and green, I have red, but I don't have green. In order to make green, I would have to mix blue and yellow. So that means that I'll mix red with blue and yellow. And I've still got a little white on my paintbrush, so that's going to lighten it up just a little bit. But we've already got a little bit of a brown here. So all primary colors are going to make brown. So if mixing two complementary colors makes brown, that means we will always be using all three primary colors to make brown. Because let's say we're mixing yellow with its complement. Its complement is purple, and that's made with red and blue. So we'd have to mix yellow with red and blue. If we were mixing blue and orange, because they're complements, we have blue, and orange is made from yellow and red. So that's how we would mix brown that way. So it doesn't matter what kind of brown you're making, you're going to need all three primary colors. The ratio of how much you use of each primary color determines what kind of brown that you get. And then the value is changed by adding white or black. So I've mixed all three primaries, and I'm holding it up just to see what I've got, and it's obviously too dark. So it may not be the right hue, but I'm going to change the value first because that's the biggest thing that's wrong. So I'm adding some white and I'm mixing that up. And let's see if we're a little bit closer now. We're closer, but I still think it's a little bit too dark. So I'm going to scoop a little bit more white, mix that up. And then let's see where we are now. That's actually really close. If I was trying to mix that color for a painting, I would say that's close enough, and it's probably going to dry a little bit darker. So I'm happy with that. Now we're going to mix a new brown, one that's a little bit warmer. And I'm going to just go ahead and use what I've got here and keep moving on. You can use a brown that you have and then change it into another brown. If you were trying to mix like a brighter color, then you would need to start over. You don't want to start with this brown and then add to it to try to make a brighter color. Like, for example, if you were trying to mix this color right here, you would start over. You wouldn't try to mix it into that brown. But I'm just making a different kind of temperature brown, possibly a little bit of a different value, so I can start with what I have. So if I compare this brown to this brown, the brown that I have is too cool. It's not as warm as the one, as the swatch that I have. So to make it warmer, I know I either need yellow or red because they're both warm colors. And if I'm not sure, I'm just going to add both of them and see where that gets me. So let's add a little bit of yellow and now a little bit of red. And let's compare again. That's closer. Now the value I can tell is a little too dark. So let's add some white before we decide what else to do. and then we'll compare again. That's really close, but I think it could use a little bit of yellow. So let's add some yellow and see if that works. And that's really close, especially because I know it's going to dry darker. So we're going to go with that. Let's look at making a couple of different grays. So the easiest way to make gray is mixing white and black together. But every now and then, after you've mixed that, you kind of have to determine what temperature it is, and that'll tell you what hue you need to add to it, whether it's blue or yellow or red. The black paint that we have, it has a little bit of a blue tint to it, so it's going to make a cooler gray, which the swatch that I have is a cooler gray, so this might work. Yeah, that's pretty close. So that was straight white and black, and that's making kind of that cooler gray right now. So if I want to make it a little bit darker, like this one, I'm going to start by adding a little bit of black first, and then see if, after I get the value right, if the hue and the temperature and everything is right too. That's really close too. So I still want to show you what it would look like if you add a little bit of a color to your gray so that you know. So if you wanted to make a warmer gray, let's try adding a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red so that you can see that it's still gray, it just has a little bit of a different temperature. So this one's going to be a little bit redder. So that's 3 different values or 3 different grays. So hopefully this video taught you how to mix grays and neutrals.